Hey guys, Ms. Blocker here. Just want to make a quick video for you so that you could see when you're away from the classroom how to format your essay in proper MLA format step by step. So what you're seeing in front of you here is pretty common example of what I get turned into me, which is unfortunate because it's wrong in almost every way. But I'm going to show you step by step how to fix it. The reason I'm starting with this formatting is because if you were to load up any of the more recent versions of Microsoft Word, and this is on a Windows computer, by the way, and you started typing, this is pretty much what would happen. So many of you will find that your papers are automatically doing this 1.15 spacing within the paragraphs with these little extra spaces in between. Even if I were to indent, it's not going to fix, some of you have come up to me and said, well, I try to automatically make an indent and there's this little extra space. I'm going to show you how to fix all of that. Anyway, up here at the top, you have your header. You should have your name and then your teacher's name. I'm using Miss Rohr for this. And then the name of the class and the date. And many times I'll see the date turned into me like this, where you have the month and the date kind of the way we normally write it down. That's not good for MLA. It needs to be the way you see this first part with right here. That's how it needs to be. It needs to be the number of the month and then the month spelled out completely and then the year with no punctuation in there. Okay, next we have your title. Research paper is a crappy title. It needs to be something interesting, something unique. You can take, if you're doing a literary analysis, for example, you can take a catchy phrase from the middle of the novel. This is information about random access memory, or RAM, in your computer, so I'll just call it magical memory. All right, and this needs to be centered. You'll notice that I use this button right up here. These are your justification buttons in Microsoft Word. You can do all different kinds of things with your toolbar up here, but for now we just need to worry about pretty much these two on the left. So this is left justified, this is center justified right here, and then this is also left justified because you'll see along the left-hand side here, this is nice and even, and on the right it's all jagged. That's because it's flush left. So now what we're going to do is format our paragraphs. And as you all know, I'm sure, it needs to be indented. So you can use the tab key. That's what's automatically making it go out that far. If your tab key is giving you problems, you can use the space bar. A lot of people will tell you to use 5 spaces. That's kind of old advice. It's from whenever people used typewriters and the spaces were much larger. If you only do 5 spaces in Microsoft Word, it's very small compared to a normal indentation. See the difference there between the two? So I would probably double that just to make it look a little less awkward, because it's a little bit hard to see where your paragraphs are if you've got a whole bunch of them and they all have only 5 spaces. A lot of times when you hit enter, it'll automatically indent your next paragraph, and that's fine too. All right, so all of our paragraphs are indented. So make sure that that's taken care of. And now what we're going to do is we're going to change the font. So, and you don't have to necessarily do it in this order. This is just how I'm doing it. So I'm going to hit Control A, which is just a keyboard shortcut to make you highlight everything in your paper. You can also click and drag. That would be fine too. But then I'm going to go up here and you'll notice that the default is not Times New Roman, which is most unfortunate because Times New Roman really is the nicest font for a formal paper. So you can scroll down. Obviously it's in my recently used fonts because it's fantastic. So we're just going to do that. You can also just type it in the box here and it should pop up. The other thing we're going to do with our font is change this from 11 to 12 because that's what MLA requires. Now while I'm here, I want you to notice many of you may think you're being really sneaky if you do one size up. Look at the difference between just 12 and 14. It's huge. So I'm going to show you the difference between 12 and 13 too, because I want you to understand that it is just kind of silly to even try. So here's 12-point font, and there's 13. So go back to 12, 13. It's a huge difference, especially, when I'm getting 100 essays and one of them has bigger letters than all the other ones, I'm going to notice. So, you know, use good sense here. Anyway, so we have our font, which is much better looking than Calibri. We have our paragraphs indented, but we have these weird little spaces. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight everything again with Control A. And I'm going to go up to this button right here. This is the line and paragraph spacing button. It has the two little arrows. I'm going to click on this, and you'll notice down at the bottom, even when I mouse over, it goes ahead and changes it. Remove space after paragraph. It gets rid of those little extra spaces. So I'm going to click on that, and so that's all nice and flush now, which is good, but we're still single space. So I'm going to go back to this button again, and I'm going to click 2.0 spacing. And this makes my paper basically perfect as far as the font, the spacing, my heading is perfect. The only thing that we are missing is our page number, which I'm going to go over in just a minute. But I just want you to see how nice and professional this looks. It's very nice. All right, so to add a page number, we're just going to go up to Insert, this tab up here. And if you don't have the tabs, if you're using an older version, you can still click on the word insert and you should get a drop-down menu that gives you very similar options. Word really hasn't changed that much over the course of the last 10 to 15 years. It's mostly just GUI or graphical user interface changes. So we're going to go to page number right here, which is pretty straightforward since that's what we want. And we're going to do the top of the page because MLA requires that it's in the top. And you get lots of choices here. We're going to do plain number 3 because we don't want it centered or to the left. We want it on the right-hand side. And that gives us a number 1, which is exactly what we want. The other thing we want to do is make sure that our last name is next to all of our page numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and type in my last name there and do a space. So I have Blocker space 1 because that's my last name. You'll use your own. Don't use your teacher's last name. You'll notice that when I entered the page number, the header and footer tools automatically popped up. That's because you're now working in the space called the header. And if you're working in the space at the very bottom of the page, it's called the footer. It makes sense considering your head is at the top and your feet are at the bottom. Anyway, we're going to do one more thing with this. You're going to go back to the home button up here. Make sure this is highlighted. See, it's blue because I highlighted it. And we're going to change this to match the rest of the paper. It's really important that you remember this detail because it sticks out like a sore thumb if it's not fixed. So you can just double click down here and it'll look a little grayed out, but that's okay. That just means it's in your header. It'll still print black. And now if you go to a second page, it'll automatically put your last name and the next page number, just like that. And it makes life very easy. So let's pretend like I keep typing. See, it goes to Blocker 3 automatically. So, all right, so the last thing I want to show you has to do with margins. I have the default margins set up right now, which are correct. They are 1-inch margins, and that's what you want for MLA essays. Some of you have come to me in the past with some really crazy margin issues. It's a pretty easy fix as long as you're using a fairly recent version of Microsoft Word. If your version does not apply here, you can shoot me an email and I'll show you specifically to your situation. But if you go to the top here, we have page layout, and down here, everything that you could ever want having to do with the layout of your essay is in this toolbar. So you're going to want to go to margins, and if you click on that or just hover over it, this will come up, and there's all of these different ones. You could even go down to the Office 2003 default, which we actually just want 1 inches all around, which is normal. So you can just click on the top one and it will pop everything the way it needs to be. If you notice, I'll click narrow real quick and see how crazy that looks on the sides. It's really not, it's not good. It does save a little tiny bit of paper if you're trying to save paper and to do super narrow margins because it prints a little bit wider, but for MLA we need it to be on that normal setting so that we have the 1-inch margins all around. And I think that covers everything that we need to know for MLA formatting. So if you have any questions, you can always shoot me an email at lblocker@d49.org. You can always ask me in class, and I hope you have a great evening. Thanks.